A drifter would normally try to get rid of his bad habit by just stopping, by just having the willpower. But we all know that is not enough. But the main character does things differently. He remembers his quote by Carl Jung: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You see, when we're building any sort of habit, we need to understand, or getting rid of any type of bad habit, we need to understand the core root and the origin from which that said habit came from in order to pull it out and plant new seeds to build new habits. Now, changing is such a hard thing for people nowadays. They're stuck in their habits, their old self. They feel like they're being held back. They feel like it's an uphill battle trying to change things in their life. I've been there with the habits, trying to get rid of them, but you feel like this thing is like taking control of you. You feel like you can't control yourself when you relapse, when you don't go to the gym anymore, when you are binging, doom scrolling, when you are watching anime again, when you skip the gym, when you do all these things. In order to change, we must make the unconscious part of that bad habit conscious in order to change it. And that's exactly what we are going to be doing in this video today. I have a 5-step framework that we're going to be going through to get rid of any bad habit in your life. And also, at the end of the 5-step framework, I have a bunch of habits that we're going to be using and testing this framework on to then get rid of. That includes porn, that includes video games, that includes binging, doom scrolling, and that also includes sleeping in and waking up later. So those are the 4 habits that we're going to get into. There's so many of the bad habits that I've dealt with and you probably dealt with as well, but I will be using these as examples towards the framework that we're going to be getting into to get rid of any bad habit and turn it into a good one. If you really think about it, a bad habit is simply a seed that has been planted in yourself from your past self, that has been watered and over time it has grown into this deep-rooted plant, this deep-rooted whatever it is. If it's a bad habit, it's probably just a simple deep-rooted weed that you want to weed out. Let me give you an example. If you started building a habit of waking up late in 1 year, it's not going to be as hard to get rid of that habit versus someone who's been sleeping in late for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Why? Because that seed has been watered over time and the root is so deep that you can't even dig it out anymore. You'd have to go really deep in order to figure all out and change that habit itself. So the first step in this 5-step framework is going to be a life audit. You see, I remember when I was still struggling with bad habits before I even made the YouTube channel, I was actually working at a daycare as a cook. I used to, because I was a cook before at this resort, and the resort was connected to a daycare on the off season, and so I worked and made like a bunch of food. I would cook a bunch of food in the morning for the kids to eat breakfast, for the kids to eat lunch, etc. And so I remember during that time I was still procrastinating with my work. I wouldn't read. I was just still being so lazy with myself whenever I got home. And so what I would do at work, I would just do a life audit. I literally remember bringing to work a line notebook and bring it to work, in between making the food, I would literally be like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? What is happening? What are the things that I want to get rid of? And what are the things that I want to replace that with? The replacing with is going to be later, but today, we're just, in this first step, we're just going to be talking about the things that you want to get out, the things that are happening in your life that you just want to eliminate completely. Because we need to build awareness. Like I said, you can't get rid of a bad habit if you just don't know what you're doing. You say you want to change, but then you don't, and you're just being absolutely lazy. So if you really want to change, you need to become aware of it. And once you become aware of it, what happens is you probably feel a little bit ashamed because you are now aware of that thing that you want to get rid of. But now it's time to really change that. So a life audit, you can do this whenever you want, when you're stuck in a rut, when you're stuck in a moment of despair, you feel like you're in an abyss, you're not seeing results, you're really shameful about yourself, you doubt yourself, you don't really trust anything anymore. Listen, bro, I understand, like, being in that moment of despair where you feel empty, where you feel like, oh my gosh, why can't I just do anything? Listen, I understand. But the first step in changing is to become aware and then to realize what you want to change in the first place. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be struggle, but you really need to just sit down with a piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is give you a quest right now. The quest is to take out a line piece of paper and write down the things that you want to eliminate in your life. And so pause the video, do whatever you want, come back to the video whenever you're ready. And so once you have this list of the habits that you want to get rid of, or the actions that you take that you don't want to keep doing, what we're going to do in this video is take one of them. Just take one and just focus on that, because if you try to get rid of everything, it's like almost pulling out all these deep roots, but you will not have the strength. You will not have the strength to pull out these deep roots that have been watered over time. You need to focus on digging out one, because once you dig out one, it will be easier to dig out the other ones. So when you look at this list, right, which habit is holding you back the most? And you could probably describe, okay, laziness. I'm lazy in X, Y, Z, right? Let's just call it laziness. Why are you lazy in the first place? So the life audit will allow you to understand, okay, this is the most serious problem in my life that I really need to change. So once you have that written down in that one habit that you want to change, keep that with you and we'll get to the next step. Step 2 is going to be identifying the triggers. What does that really mean? You don't really realize it, but you've actually built the bad habits that you have. You are really consistent in. You are consistent not with the good habits, but the bad habits. So what does that really mean? That means there's a trigger that triggers these things that lead you towards doing that bad habit. Let's take porn, for example. That's a really big topic in men's nowadays. A lot of men watch porn, even women do watch porn, and it's a really big problem and issue in society. And for me personally, it was such a big thing to get rid of in my life, that habit itself. And we're going to take that as an example of identifying the trigger. Okay, what will lead you towards watching porn in the first place? Probably scrolling on Instagram, probably looking at the websites, probably, seeing a hot girl in a movie or something, or this is where these things stem from. Lust. That is where the lust stems from. The lust is the trigger, but what triggers the lust? It is seeing, it's putting these things in front of your face, because social media, like let's be honest, half of the girls are fucking naked on there. Like, let's be honest, right? I understand that it can be really hard to not see it, but once you understand, okay, whenever I scroll on my feed and I see a woman, right, and I feel lust in myself that leads me towards relapsing, what is next? What is next is to build that awareness towards changing that said habit. So now that I gave you a good example of that type of bad habit, which is relapsing, what you can do is identify the trigger. Okay, whenever I scroll on Instagram, I see, okay, maybe this one girl on my feed, maybe I should just unfollow her, right? And get rid of the trigger, get rid of the thing that is leading you towards that said thing. Let's talk about video games too. What does your environment look like? Because for me personally, I used to have a gamer setup, my PlayStation setup, the PC, the games are right in front of me. No wonder it was so easy for me to just click a play. I'll play a match real quick and then I'll read. I'll play a match real quick and then I'll get to my work. That's not what happened, right? I played the games and I kept playing, and then I felt shame for myself because I didn't do what I said I wanted to do. And so the trigger is the things that are right in front of you. Your environment triggers you to be not only negative. If you're around a bunch of negative people, guess what? That will trigger you to build a habit of being negative, saying negative things, having a negative mindset. That is why you need to be around positive people, people that lift you up, people that fortify you. That's why for me personally, when I first started self-improvement, I stopped talking to a bunch of friends. I got rid of all the noise just so I can really just breathe and I could think about, like, who am I? What do I want? And so once you identify the trigger of the habit, let's say you're being lazy, right? And you go back to, okay, why am I lazy in the first place? Okay, but usually I'm bored, right? I'm bored and then I start scrolling and then, okay, so you're bored. Why are you bored? Oh, because I don't really know what to do. Okay, you don't know what to do. Do something, right? Decide what to do. That is identifying the trigger. You're bored because you don't have anything to do. So therefore, do something. Decide what to do instead of thinking, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. No more of that. It's identifying the trigger and getting rid of it. So the habit that you have written down on that piece of paper, we are going to be focusing on. So when you really look at this habit itself, think about the times that you do it. Think about what leads you towards this bad habit, because most of the time we are creatures of habit already. What happens is when we form patterns, like we're just recognized humans. We just live in patterns, we live in habits, we live in cycles. So when you understand that, okay, there's actually a pattern that goes on towards this habit, it's identifying the start of the habit, the gate when you go into the habit itself, and then closing the gate, being aware of where it is and closing it off. So look at the habit right now and decide, okay, where is this trigger leading me towards? So I'm gonna give you a quest right now. What I want you to do is take that habit itself and identify the trigger. Write down a bunch of bullet points. Okay, maybe it can come from this. Okay, maybe it can come from that. Or maybe this happens, or maybe XYZ. Like, just start writing bullet points down, writing that habit on that piece of paper in order to build the awareness, okay, what happens in that said thing. Now, step 3 is going to be building resistance towards the habit. What does that really mean? This whole time, we were just trying to get aware and dig deep into where the root really is. How deep is that root? How deep is that habit of yours that you're doing? For me personally, when I played video games for all of my life, and it was a ongoing, like, especially during COVID, I was just playing every single day. I would play, like, I would not even sleep at night. I would just play Call of Duty by myself. I'd play Fortnite with my friends. I would just do these things, and it was such an ingrained habit in myself that it was so hard to get rid of. But eventually, I mean, I had to move forward in life and drop this habit of mine. So how can we build resistance so we're not doing these things anymore? Like I said before about the whole porn and the lust and the relapsing example, if you are relapsing all the time, look at the triggers and delete them. Stop following those chicks on Instagram. If you are maybe being lazy, set up your environment to work for you. Get your work stuff out already for you. Declutter your room, declutter your phone, declutter your computer, declutter these things so it's nice and clean and fresh and not something that you don't read. Like, you feel like you go to something, you go in front of your computer and you just have brain fog immediately, because it's like you could do so many things. You could watch YouTube, you could play video games, you could start a business. I don't know what you do on your computer, but let your spaces only be for one thing. Like my computer, I mainly just use, I have a laptop and then a computer. On my laptop, I usually just do my morning work. I usually just write scripts on there. That's it. And I usually, if I go anywhere, I take it with me. But on this computer, what I do is I either watch things or I'm editing and watching. My other laptop, I just do scripting for videos. I do video ideas, etc. And I have things in my room set up for me so I'm not like falling back in my old self, because your old self lives in the environment that you're probably in right now. The reason you do the bad habits is probably because you're in the same room as your old self who did those. So change up your room, move things around, make it so you feel fresh, you feel new, you feel clean, and build that resistance towards getting to that bad habit. You want to stop playing video games, delete your games. It's as simple as that. But like my friends, I sometimes still play with them. It's like, okay, then keep it on your system then. And I mean, if you want to get rid of this bad habit, these are the things that you have to do, right? If you want to keep playing video games, then go ahead. It's up to you. You live your life, right? But if you want to start changing and actually living a more fulfilled life, you gotta sacrifice things in order to move forward. So the third quest is to identify this said habit of yours. You identify the triggers, right? And identify how you can get rid of them. How can you build more resistance? Okay, well, I'm relapsing, so maybe I should unfollow those Instagram models. Maybe I should get off my phone way more. Maybe I should put my phone in a drawer. Maybe I should put my phone. It really is that damn phone. Like, let's be honest. Most of the time, our phone, we're just so consumed. We're like a zombie. We're stuck in a trance. We're drifting into our phone, drifting into random activities. Like, where are you? Like, wake up, bro. Where are you? Log back in. You need to log into the game, bro. Everything is moving forward. Life is moving forward. You have no choice but to keep moving forward. So log in, wake up, and start building a life you don't need to escape from. Start building a life that you will wake up happy and fulfilled and energetic and full of vitality to live. That's really what it comes down to. And it all starts with taking actions, taking the right actions, building the right habits. Imagine if you just got so good at just building habits. Imagine how good you'd be. Imagine if you just kept building the habit trackers and kept implementing this process over and over and over. Imagine the things that you could do. So this is the third step, to understand what the habit is, what the trigger is, and how to build resistance towards that. And so then step 4 we're going to get into is, step 4 is all about replacing it with something good, something better, replacing the bad habit with a good one. And this is where we pulled out the root, and now we're planting good seeds. But it's up to you what seed that really is. Because you could still get rid of the habit and replace it with like a seed. It's the same one, but it looks different. As in, you could be like, oh, I want to get off TikTok. I want to stop scrolling on TikTok or something. You take the seed out, right? But then you put another seed of Instagram Reels. Now I'm scrolling on Instagram Reels. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that the habit that we replace it with, or the time that we have now that's free of this being trapped in that bad habit, is replaced with something meaningful and fulfilling. This is a question of, what do you want in life? What do you want to do? What is your purpose? What do you feel called towards? And this question is really subjective, and I suggest that you take your time to understand, who do I want to be and why? Why do I want to do the things that I want to do? And it's okay to want to start reading books. It's okay to want to explore a new place around your city or your hometown. It's okay to do things out of the ordinary. It's okay to go for a hike. It's okay to do real world things. You don't need to be on social media all the time. You don't need to have all this FOMO. You're not missing out on shit. Like, you're not missing out on much, right? It's time to really level up and replace these things with something better. Personally, for me, when I got rid of these bad habits, I replaced it with making content, making videos, coming up with ideas, helping people, having calls with people on my Discord, in my private community, reading books, learning, leveling up, spending more time in the gym, spending more time researching and learning, developing my mind, spending more time with my friends, doing meaningful things, not just sitting around being like, guys, what do you want to do? Like, no, we plan something and we get together and we have fun and we're positive about it, and it's really fun. And so really understand, what is your dream life? Let me ask you this, right? If you had $100 million, what would you do? Write down that question. The question I'm gonna give you right now is, if you had $100 million, right? You're already secured, you had everything else, what would you do all day? What would your day look like? What would you still do? For me personally, when I think about this question, what I would really wanna do is I would still wanna go to the gym every single day. I would still wanna have a really hard workout, maybe with some friends, maybe blasting some music. I'd really wanna do that. And maybe I'd want to have really good, meaningful work. I actually want to film videos. I want to make educational content for people. I want to help someone one-on-one. I want to speak to at least one person every single day and help them and give them advice on what they're doing with something that I can help them with. Something along the lines of that, something creative, something meaningful that I can do. This is my personal opinion and my worldview, right? It's all up to you to decide what you really want. Who do you want to spend your time around? What would you like to do in your free time? If you had all the money in the world, if you had everything already, what would you want to do already? This question can take some time to answer, so don't be afraid to turn the video off and actually go think about, what do I want? What are the habits that I would want to do instead? And all of a sudden you're going to get ideas, you're going to start writing them down. Okay, I actually want to do this instead. Or I actually want to maybe hit up this one friend and go to this one place. Or you can be like, well, I actually want to start working harder in the gym. I want to add more exercises. I want to get better. I want to research more food. I want to try new things to get bigger and bulkier. I want to like start a business. What type of businesses are out there? Let your curiosity guide you towards building the better habits. Curiosity, that is a big thing in this. It's awareness, curiosity, or like being aware that of the seeds, and being curious of the seeds that you can now plant to water, to grow, and build your garden inside the game of life. That's what it's all about. And now step 5 is kind of like an advanced level sort of step. And some people might get this, some people not. I hope you try to think about this and understand this. It's pretty much an identity shift. Step 5 is an identity shift. Now this all comes with mindset and the way that you view yourself. Because sometimes, most of the time, people think that they are the things that they do. People think, oh, I am my name. But no, you're not your name. You're a person who's experiencing having a name. You have these things. You're not these things. You have these things. And I'm going to try to explain it the best I can, but what you really want to do is switch from a subjective worldview to an objective worldview, as in you're separate from the habit itself. Say to yourself, I am not this bad habit. Like, I don't do this anymore. I don't watch porn. I'm not lazy anymore. I'm a hard worker. I am a hard worker. I'm a person who's diligent in my work. I'm a person who is consistent. I'm a person who loves waking up early. I'm a person who does this and does that. And because your unconscious or your subconscious mind does not know the difference between you telling yourself, I am I am friendly or something like that. I am charismatic. I am good looking. I am very confident with myself. I am very, I don't know, like whatever you want to be, you can tell yourself these things and program yourself. And what happens is, over time, the more that you water this seed of identity, this is like an advanced seed that you can plant into your garden. Once you water this over time, it manifests itself and you actually become the thing that you said that you were going to do. If you really want to go deeper with this, you can really write down, I'll give you a quest right now. When you decided your dream life, now write down, who do you want to be? Instead of being attached to this bad habit, what do you want to be now? Like, what do you want to do instead? Be, do, have. My boy, Great Morgan, if you're out there, professor, he actually gave me this advice. It's called the be, do, have. You want to be this type of person. You want to do these things and have these things. Be, do, have. This is the quest I'm going to give you right now, is to write down your be, do, have. I want to be this type of person. I want to do these types of things. And I want to have X, Y, Z. And when you start to visualize and create this mental picture in your head, it's programming. You're actively programming. It's watering the seed that you have now planted. But what happens is people, they manifest once and they think, oh my gosh, like how come nothing's manifesting? It's like, you need to take time with this. It's not like an overnight thing. It takes time and sinks in, but the whole idea is to raise your vibration, your positive vibration, and attract what you are, right? It's to attract that person that you want to become. It's no longer being like, oh, I do these bad habits. No, I do good habits now. I wake up early. I used to tell myself I'm an introvert. I wake up late. I sleep in. Oh, I procrastinate. And guess what? I was those things. I was those things because that's the story that I told myself. So what is the story that you have told yourself over and over and over again that has capped your growth? A lot of you out there have really negative perceptions on yourself because of past experiences. But it doesn't matter anymore because you can change whenever you want. You can decide tomorrow to start going to the gym, to be a bodybuilder. You can decide today to wake up early and start reading more books and start to learn, start to develop your mind. It's okay to do these things. It's okay to switch your identity, be like, I'm not this person anymore. You know what I did that helped me? When I stopped playing video games, I told myself, I don't play video games anymore. I play the game of life, and it might sound cliche, it might sound cringy. I don't really give a fuck, right? It does not matter. These are the things, this is a story I would tell myself in order to benefit me, in order to gain a more fulfilled life experience, because we're all inside the game of life together. We're all here leveling up. We're all here on our journey. We're all here trying to just do good in some type of way. We're all just trying to figure it out, right? So I don't blame you if we get confused about, like, I don't know who I want to be. It's taking on the responsibility of finding who you want to be. It's taking on the responsibility of, you know what, I'm going to spend this time to actually figure out who I want to be and why. So the next part of this video will be taking 4 examples, 4 habits that we can go into and use this process towards these things. So the first one that we are going to take is binging and doom scrolling. So anything that has to do with scrolling, consuming, just consuming so much that isn't really me. It's like wasted time almost. Like, I understand, okay, you want to watch an educational video, you're watching this video, it may not necessarily be coping, it might not necessarily be you just consuming mindlessly. It's up to you. Like, you know if you're consuming this video mindlessly or not. I would hope that you are not. You're here to learn, educate, and change your life, right? I'm here to educate you and help you as best as I can. And so with this habit of binging, doom scrolling, what I used to do is just consume a lot of anime. Whenever I'm bored, okay, I've done all my habits for the day, now what? Like, I'm just bored. Now I'm gonna go watch anime, right? I'm gonna go scroll my phone. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. But the thing is, these things are coping mechanisms and we're coping the wrong way. I'm not saying it's wrong to watch 1 or 2 anime episodes a day or whatever your favorite show is. You know whether or not this said thing is taking you away from your objective, from your goals. You know it, right? It's up to you to have the discipline and have the honesty to yourself, because you could lie to me. You can lie to me all you want. You can talk to other people, but you can't lie to yourself at all. You can never lie to yourself because you will always know deep down. God will always know. He's always watching you. He's always watching you. So you can lie to me, lie to other people, but you cannot lie to yourself at all about if you are doing things in a meaningful way or not. So what I look at is, okay, doom scrolling. Why do you do this? Because, okay, I'm kind of bored. Okay, well, since I'm bored, that is the trigger. Okay, well, I need to do something. Okay, what do I want to do instead? Okay, now I need to think, okay, what can I really improve on, or what do I want to get better at? And then you start to let your curiosity take you towards Maybe I actually want to learn more of the subject. I actually want to level up this skill of mine. Maybe I actually want to call a friend and help them out. Maybe I want to see these people in my Discord, see what they're up to, doing something more productive, and maybe even going for a walk. If I'm tired during the day, instead of scrolling on my phone, and I'm sitting down, I'm exhausted, right? I go on a walk with no phone, with just looking at the sun, looking at the birds, listening to nature, and grounding myself in reality. And that's refreshing. That's actually a good way to cope. Coping is not a bad thing. It can be a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword. Therefore, which side of the sword do you want to be slain by? Do you want to be slain by the good side, which is, you mean, okay, now I feel rejuvenated, I feel enlightened, right? Or do you want to be, oh, now I feel even more exhausted. Now my energy is being taken away from me because of consuming so much, like your mind is like stimulated and you have brain fog and you can't think straight. I understand that. What would also lead me towards doom scrolling or binging is when I would edge my comfort zone, when I would when I was doing things more than usual, when I would read an extra 30 more minutes, when I would hop on an extra more call, when I would take more time to script more videos, and I would edge the comfort zone. That's when I would pull back and doom scroll and hop on my phone and watch animes, when I was edging my comfort zone. So that's when you really gotta look at that trigger. Okay, this has triggered me towards this said thing of doom scrolling, etc. So therefore, I need to just stick with it. It's building an awareness, because all you really need is awareness of the fact that you are doing this thing and just deciding. It's having awareness, and with the awareness is deciding, taking the two routes of either sticking with it or not. It's up to you to decide. So now let's take video games, for example. I know I talked about a lot in this video already. So video games, why do you do it? Because you're bored, you don't really have anything else to do, maybe you're tired, right? These all equate to the same thing. It's coping mechanisms. Bad habits are simply coping mechanisms, and a bad habit is only a bad habit when it's detrimental to you, to your mental health, to your physical health, to all aspects of your life. If it's hurting you. If you're doing it's bad habits only bad when it's hurting you, it's lowering your self-esteem, it's lowering your identity, it's doing all these things that are hurting you. That's when it's a bad thing. So any of these examples that I say, okay, let's look at video games. For me personally, the reason I would play video games was because I was coping with myself. I mean, I was awkward, I was introverted, it's the only thing I knew, this reality, escaping into video games. Video games like can mostly be bad, but I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can still play video games if you want, if it's not taking you away from something important. You know, like I said, you know whether you're lying to yourself or not. So for me personally, how I replaced it with leveling up and learning, maybe consuming better content, or maybe actually going out and spending more time in the gym, working on my body, working on my vessel, building better habits, planning, looking at my goals, visualizing. These things are so much better than playing the game of life, or not playing the game of life, like playing the actual video game. You should play the game of life instead of playing video games. It's up to you to decide though. I mean, everyone has their vices, I understand that. But if you really want to change, level up, and get better in this game, you need to make sacrifices. So if we look at this framework, you have to look at the video games, why you do it, what is the trigger, building resistance, deleting your games maybe. I put my PS4 up in my closet. It hasn't even been turned on in a year and 3/4 maybe, and I haven't touched it since. It's been in my closet. I deleted all my PC games. I used to have 2 monitors, now I have 1 monitor to keep myself focused on just one single thing. That's it. That's all I focus on now. And so the next habit we can get into is looking at porn. I've said this before in this video. I described it. I think I described it pretty well, but it's identifying, okay, what triggers you towards that? Oh, but I have a high testosterone, bro. It's like, dude, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, like, where is the trigger, right? It's looking at, okay, maybe it's Instagram girls. Maybe it's watching this movie, or maybe it's you just fantasizing in your head. Where does it really start? Like, you know the trigger, you know where it starts, and you know, like, the time when you get like that, right? And what to do. It's having the awareness, okay, I'm feeling like this, what should I do? And that's when you decide. It's having the awareness and the deciding, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it, or should I do something else? It's up to you to decide. And so you look at the trigger, you build resistance towards it, try to eliminate it, try to do things differently, replace it with something better, and then keep moving forward, and slowly over time you will stop doing it. How I got rid of it, stop watching porn, was a couple things. One was getting closer to God, because I know we live in a world, a very evil, corrupt world, and there's a lot of evil and negativity online, a lot of negativity. It's like spiritual warfare going on. And so a lot of guys, especially and women as well, actually deal with this problem of lusting. And I don't really blame you. It's a nature that's already built into us. And so how I got rid of it was getting closer to God, getting closer to the person who is all good, all just, all knowing, who is the creator, who created me and you. Getting closer to him, getting to know him way more has led me towards not watching porn anymore. I don't want to watch porn anymore because I just love my God so much. My God is bigger than my problems. My God is bigger than these evil things. I just want to be on his side. I don't want to be on the side of degeneracy. I don't really want to be on the side of evil, and I don't want to be on that side anymore. I've seen it. Like, I've tried it. It does not work for me. And so I just wanted to be on his side and get to know him way more. And when I did that, I didn't want to do that stuff anymore. I didn't want to relapse anymore. There's no point to it. It wasn't even fulfilling to me anymore. Like, it didn't mean anything to me. It was wasting my seed. And so you as a guy as well, if you're watching this and you're a guy and you're still jerking off, like, literally look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what the fuck are you doing? Like genuinely, because there's bigger problems in the world than you relapsing. People are literally dying. People are literally starving. People like have family members dying in the world, and you just can't stop spazzing on your bed. Like, let's be honest, like, what are you doing with yourself? And so sometimes, like, you need this harsh conversation with yourself of being like, bro, like, what the fuck am I doing actually? And so it's really understanding, okay, this thing is disgusting. This thing I'm doing, you're watching, you mean another girl, you're watching yourself get cucked. So it's like, what are you really doing here, right? What is this your purpose in life, right? And so for me personally, that's what helped me stop it. I also tracked it as well. A year ago, I tracked my like no fap habit, and dude, like, I was so bad. It was most of the month was red on my habit tracker. It was like over 20 times a month, and every single month it would go down from 20 to 18 to 15 to 10, whoa, to 8, and then to like really low, and then I just forgot about it. I forgot about the habit. I forgot about, okay, that's a thing that people still do. And I know it's a big thing that goes on, especially with guys nowadays, and it really brings a lot of shame. So what I suggest you do is to bring awareness to yourself, understand, okay, get closer to God, understand that you are getting cucked, understand that there's bigger problems in this world, chase after bigger problems, stop chasing after small problems in your life. And so the last habit that we're going to get into is waking up late. This is a problem that I've struggled with all my life, the identity of, oh my gosh, I'm a night owl. Oh my gosh, I sleep in. I just sleep so much, blah, blah, blah. It's like, these are just excuses to myself. And so the trigger is a bad night setup. What happened is the reason I would have bad sleep was because the night before, I didn't set myself up right. I didn't set up my water. I didn't set up my phone. I'd be scrolling before bed. I would have the red light in my eye, or I would have the blue light in my eyes all the time. I was still awake. I had anxiety. It's like, what was I really doing with myself? So the trigger is a bad night. So what you do is you take care of the night and change the night with better habits by putting on your red lights, putting your phone down, reading a book instead, calming yourself down, not looking at the internet so much before you go to bed. Because I used to watch TikTok before I go to bed, bro. I used to hang off my bed, scrolling. It was like, what am I really doing with myself here? And I really had to ask myself that question. And you identify the trigger, and you just get rid of it by replacing it with something else. And so I really hope this video has helped you. If you really need help creating systems, habit systems, you really need help being productive and understanding, okay, my goals, how do I align myself to my goals? How do I start getting better and changing? What you can do is you can work with me, you can hop on a one-on-one call with me, and we can get started on your journey towards building better habits, towards building a meaningful life. So with that, my friend, continue your journey and keep moving forward.